Thank you so much. It's an enormous privilege to be here in this place of such community and compassion and wisdom and learning, and to be in dialogue with all of you. I'm thrilled. Thank you so much to everyone who has organized this and to everyone who is participating here and online and in the future watching us. My name is Emily M. Bender. As Molly said, I'm a professor of linguistics at the University of Washington. Linguistics is the study of how language works and how we work with language. And I want you to know that that's where I'm coming from so that you know something about the expertise that is behind the remarks that I'm bringing to this conversation. So in addition to knowing about how language works and how we work with language, I'm a computational linguist, so I work on language technology. And just as a linguist, I'm very sensitized to language use and how that impacts the narratives that are happening. Now, I recall a question from yesterday morning. What does this term artificial intelligence mean after all? And I have an answer for you, but it's not of the type that you might have been expecting. My answer to that question is that the phrase artificial intelligence does not refer to a coherent set of technologies. All right? It is an inherited imaginary of something that might be, something that comes to us from speculative fiction. And there is nothing in the world today that actually merits the qualities of that inherited imaginary. And I would claim there's no reason to believe that that could actually exist. It's a wonderful fictional device. I appreciate science fiction, but it's not something of our world. Instead, we have a bunch of technologies that are being sold as artificial intelligence. And as I said, they do not form a coherent set. And so the conversation gets more coherent if we talk instead about automation. And then we can ask questions like, okay, what exactly is being automated here? Who's doing the automation and why? What's the input? What's the output? Can we tell how well it works? Can we tell how well it works well enough to actually decide to use it? And also, whose labor is being used to create the automation? And how are those workers being treated? So if we talk about it in terms of automation, I think all of that comes into clearer focus. Another reason to avoid the phrase artificial intelligence is that the word intelligence itself, at least in English, brings in all of this history of measurement and of eugenics, all right? And it's a notion that is gradable. And the idea is that you could rank people along a scale of intelligence and then rank machines on that same scale. And those are harmful and problematic narratives. Another problematic narrative that you may have been hearing is very scary. This is going to kill us all. There's a lot in the news about that right now because there's been yet another book published with this narrative. And one of the things I like to tell people is that the story that the boosters are telling and the story that the doomers are telling are actually the same story, even though they're presented by both sides and by the media as the opposite ends of a pole. They are two sides of the same coin with no daylight in between. And the story goes like this. Artificial intelligence is a thing. It is inevitable. It is imminent. And then the stories diverge. The boosters say it's going to solve all of our problems. The doomers say it's going to kill us all. But it's the same story with just a different twist at the end. And there is a lot of space outside of that narrative where we can focus on people in the world and communities and the environmental impacts of these systems and the labor impacts and so on. Part of the reason that I know that both of those stories are stories of science fiction, the booster story, the doomer story, the one story, is that I know how language models work because I'm a computational linguist. Right? The thing that's got everyone so excited about so-called artificial intelligence right now is the chatbots, right? Things that seem to speak our language. Well, there's two things that I can tell you from linguistics that are very important in this moment. The first is that languages are pairings of form and meaning. That is, every time we speak or write, we're doing two things. We are making the shape of the signs, making certain sounds, writing certain things, and we are communicating ideas and thoughts, emotions, right? When we are dealing with a language that we know, it is very hard to perceive the one without the other. For those of you who are here physically and who, like me, don't read Tibetan, you have an opportunity to see the distinction every time you look at one of the signs in this space that are written in Tibetan. You know that's language, right? But all you can see is the form because for those of you who do not read Tibetan, it is a language that's not among your languages. But usually when we are perceiving language, we are perceiving both form and meaning at the same time. I'm insisting on this right now because one of the things about language models is that they are trained with the form of language. They are models of the distribution of bits of spellings of words across very large collections of text. They are tools for repeatedly answering the question, what is a likely next sequence of letters? And that's all. The problem is they are very good tools for that. So what comes out looks coherent. But I'm here to assure you that if it makes sense, it's only because you're making sense of it. The problem, though, is that in that sense-making, we do a lot of mind work. You might think that when you are understanding something that someone said or wrote, that what you're doing is basically unpacking whatever meaning they packed into those words. In fact, what we learned from psycholinguistics is that that's not how it works at all. What we're doing is we are holding in mind everything we know or believe about the person who wrote or said the words, everything we know or believe about our common ground with that person, and everything we know or believe about what they know and believe about their intended audience, be that us or someone else. And then against that background, we ask ourselves, what must they have been trying to convey by saying those words in that order? That's a lot of work, and it happens automatically and reflexively, and we can't turn it off. So when we see the output of a chatbot, we automatically do it. And the problem is, in doing it, we are imagining a mind behind the text where there is none. And that is why this technology is so compelling and so sort of imagination-inducing, I think, for many people, for both positive outcomes and negative outcomes. On top of that, the commercial chatbots are designed to lean into this effect. It is a design choice for ChatGPT and Gemini and Claude to output I, me pronouns. There's no I or me in there, but it's in the design of the system that those come out to reinforce this illusion of a mind behind the text. Now, I don't want to say there's no good use cases for language modeling. This is important technology that computational linguistics has been working on since the 1940s. It's an important component of automatic transcription, of machine translation. There's many different ways where if the problem at hand is, here's a bunch of different possible strings, which one is most likely, then great, that's your technology. Also really useful to get representations of words in terms of what other words they co-occur with. That makes for better search algorithms, for example. On the other hand, when we use large language models to output this synthetic text, just repeatedly answering what's a likely next word, that can be quite harmful. It can lead to pollution of the information ecosystem. It can lead to people falling into what's been called AI psychosis, where they think they're talking to a real being that is telling them all sorts of things about how they're so wonderful, etc. Just very quickly on narratives in this space, a lot of them seem designed to steal our agency. We are told that this is inevitable, right? It's here to stay, as Molly mentioned. That means we don't have anything we can do to shape the future, and I disagree. We're also told, you're naive about this technology. You should listen to the people who build it and who know how it works. Well, as someone from the field of computational linguistics, I am here to tell you that anytime someone says this technology can do your job, can educate your children, can be your friend, you have highly relevant expertise because you know what your job consists of, and it's more than the words that you say while doing your job. And you know what friendship is, and you know what education is, and you know what the human connection is like in there. And that is really, really important and needs to have space in the narrative. And then finally, I want to mention narratives of speed and rapid development. The technology is changing so fast, right? You can't possibly keep up. That is, again, a bid to steal agency. Because what's not changing so fast is human connection and compassion and what matters to us. And I think I'll stop there.